Hey everyone, today we're going to be talking about toxic people and the damage they do in your life. For anybody who's watching the replay, I'm just going to give this 1 minute for people to come into the live since it's morning in the US, and then I have a whole layout of what we're going to talk about today. Hey guys, today we're going to talk about toxic people and the damage they do in your life. And even if you don't have toxic people in your life, this is really good to listen to because you're going to start witnessing behaviors maybe when you're around family members that you have trouble setting boundaries with, behaviors that you just don't like in yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and actually get started. Oh, sorry, what happened to my face? I have a filter on. I got a laser facial, just to let you guys know. I got a laser facial, so it's all peeling, all scarred. I have a filter on, so you can't see what it actually looks like, but yeah, that's why I have the filter on. But anyway, all good. So toxic people and the damage that they do in your life. There is so much on the internet about narcissists and toxic people. We're not going to get into all that. Narcissistic people are misclassified a lot. There's 9 traits that they have to have for many years. It's something that we talked about in my men's group. But a lot of people are suffering from trauma. A lot of people are suffering from survival mechanisms that they developed. And a lot of people are just developing these toxic traits and behaviors to survive. And today we're going to go over kind of like what that is and how to protect yourself, how to recognize it in yourself, and the damage that it really does in your life, because it's so bad. So first of all, like, what is toxicity? This is not a dictionary definition, but what I'm going to say as far as toxicity when it comes to relationships is the inconsistent behaviors that go against what a person's integrity is or their morals or core values. So if someone keeps saying they're going to do something and they don't do it, so they're lying. If someone keeps doing something that goes against their moral code, if someone keeps doing something that's against their better judgment, they're generally pretty toxic. So that being said, by default, if you are in a relationship with someone who is toxic for long enough, you by default become toxic yourself. Because by you staying in that relationship, you are abandoning your own core values, your own moral code. You're disrespecting yourself. You're disrespecting your own integrity. And this goes into, what is the part that I play in a toxic relationship? Because a lot of people also say, oh, it's my fault. I stayed so long. I attracted this to me, so I must have needed a lesson from it. All of our relationships are mirrors. And not mirrors as in, oh, they're toxic, so I must be toxic. It's, if they're exhibiting toxic behaviors, what part of me needed to nurture that to show what I needed to heal in myself? That then became a mirror to them, so that then maybe reflected their toxicity back to them. That then maybe they were showing me my own toxicity. Because you have to start looking at it this way. A lot of times we look at our abusers or our toxic people or the people who are negative in our lives as these villains, which obviously somebody who hurts you is not like a hero. However, we can look at the silver linings in our lives as like they are also reflecting back to us the behaviors that we need to change so that we never have to deal with people like them again. We forget the gift that it is to never have to deal with someone like that again. Because if we deal with someone who's covert all the time and our life is just kind of meh and we're not meeting anyone extraordinary and we're never becoming anyone extraordinary, like we forget what a gift it is to meet people who show us who we really are. So that's one of the things about that. So going into that, I talked about how toxicity can be developed from trauma or survival mechanisms. Does that mean trauma excuses bad behavior? Does that mean that we should keep giving someone chances as they're changing and trying to grow from this? Trauma does not excuse toxic behavior, even if it gives it a reason that it exists. And it does not mean that you then have to be the teacher or the guide for that one to be led out of their trauma. Life will do that on its own for that person. You do not have to come in and be God. Because all you will do in that moment is destroy yourself. Because what happens is, somebody said it earlier in this video, you enable the person to keep their bad behavior because you present this unlimited well of forgiveness, this unlimited well of unconditional love. And a lot of men and a lot of women desire to be unconditionally loved. However, there are very few people, if not just God, who can love you unconditionally, because conditions actually help us maintain moral fiber. Conditions actually help us maintain the right path. Conditions actually help us stay aligned, right? We need conditions in relationships to be in relationships. You can't have someone love you unconditionally if you keep making mistakes and keep hurting them. You will never learn. You have no incentive to. What is the point? So sometimes your biggest help for a person who's struggling because they have toxic behaviors because of their past trauma is to leave them and to say, hey, I love you. I know that you're going to figure this out. I'm not going to be a punching bag along the way, and I bless you with peace on your journey. And that's maybe the biggest lesson that they could learn is like, holy shit, I'm losing amazing people in my life because I can't handle my shit. I need to get help. But if you just keep saying, oh, don't worry, I forgive you, I've been through this, you got this, I'll be right here waiting for you. They're like, okay, that person's always going to be there. So I'm never going to change. Or I'm going to say I'm going to change over and over and over and over again and never have to do it. Someone who is really, really sorry, this is a side note, someone who's really sorry doesn't just apologize with words, they apologize with actions. The greatest apology is changed behavior, okay? So if someone is not changing their behavior, they're not sorry, they're planning to do it again. Just like that video I just posted with Feel Good Life. If someone is truly sorry, they're going to change their behavior. And if they don't really care, they just kind of push it aside, they're not really empathetic, they're just saying sorry to shut you up. And they know they're going to do it again because you're always going to be there. So leave them to their own devices. That's the best thing you can do with someone with toxic behaviors. So, some signs that you are struggling with a toxic relationship, you probably already know, but this is just for people who want the reassurance. Your body is going to tell you first. First, you'll get that gut feeling, that intuition, something's not right. Usually when we love someone, we ignore it. We write it off. Oh, I'm just anxious. And you start going into hyper self-development mode. What can I fix within myself to get rid of this feeling? Because you don't trust yourself that the feeling is right and that the person isn't good for you. You suddenly take on this responsibility that's all your fault. So you start to try to fix everything and blame it on yourself. So it's your intuition telling you, this isn't good, this isn't right, this isn't for me. And you instead turn it around on something like, I've got a lot of trauma, I've got anxious attachment, this is all me, I'm going to fix it. Okay, that's your first warning sign. The second warning sign is that your body will show you even more heavily. You'll start getting sick a lot more. You'll start getting stomach aches. You'll start getting heavy anxiety. You will start getting seriously ill, seriously sick. A lot of you know I haven't been posting videos for like the last 2 months. I went on this trip to Asia. And right before that, I was literally breaking down. The whole last 2 months actually have been breaking down, which led up to me literally being in the hospital on my birthday, from randomly acute bronchitis. I never had bronchitis in my life. I don't smoke. I don't do any of that. Why am I gasping on the ground, unable to breathe? Because the choices I was making of keeping myself in an environment where I was not witnessed, where I was constantly belittled, where I was not given a chance to express myself, where I was made to feel small, drove me into a place of basic non-existence, okay? People who are toxic are first toxic to themselves. And when you are toxic to yourself, you bleed over everything. The container cannot hold toxicity in itself. The container bleeds toxicity wherever it goes, wherever it touches, because it needs to be seen. So a toxic person is going to try to break you down in any way that they can. And that means a lot of people think that toxic people will grasp onto your insecurities. This is what they do. They cherish your insecurities. They make you feel good about the things that you don't like about yourself. and they bash the things and break down the things that you love about yourself, that make you feel good, that make you unique, that make you you. The entire time I was in this situation, it was lots of compliments about my looks and whatever, and then all of a sudden a barrage of things about my clients, things about me and the work that I did. Everything I did was useless. It wasn't for anything. It wasn't a real job. It was, just these awful things that made me feel so bad that I was so wrapped up in. I couldn't think. And then suddenly, my greatest skill set, my greatest ability, which is making content, breaking down these large concepts for men all around the world, shattered, gone. And suddenly, the toxicity has now become the poison that kills you. Because everything that made you you is now gone. You cannot think anymore. So you start to feel ashamed about yourself. And then the next thing is you start to feel ashamed about the requests that you have, no matter how small they are. At first, when toxic people are in your lives, and this is all to say, this is not looking at the other person as the villain. Because like I said, by default, when you engage in a relationship or a partnership or whatever with a toxic person, you by default become toxic to them and to yourself. So I had become a toxic person in my own life because instead of, here's what I was about to say. When you start to stay in a relationship with a toxic person, maybe you've done a lot of healing work and you're thinking, oh, I can handle this. I know how to, this was my negative trait, right? Because I'm a men's mental health coach. Oh, I can work with this. It is my responsibility to help this person figure it out. It is my responsibility to keep forgiving. It is my responsibility to be the light, be the mirror for this person. Because I know all the tools, I know all the tricks. I do this for men every day. I got this. Because I was there, and because anybody who is in a relationship with someone who is struggling, what you do is you stay trying to solve it. But what you're actually doing is staying and learning how to tolerate new levels of abuse, new levels of toxicity. You are just recalibrating your nervous system to say, oh, I can handle this level of disrespect, because the first time they disrespect you, it's going to be small. And then you're like, okay, I can forgive this tiny little level of disrespect because it's not that big of a deal. They make you think it's not that big of a deal. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to call you stupid. Like, I'll never do it again. I promise I'll change. I'm changing. And then you're like, okay, I'm such a caring, considerate person. I will forgive this. Maybe it's not that big of a deal. They don't know. People know, okay? People know because they have bosses, they have parents, they have friends who they don't say stuff to, okay? People know. So if they're treating you a certain way, chances are they're not treating other people that way. And if they are treating everyone that way, also red flag, okay? Because we're grown. Adults know what to say and when to say things. And we all want to say things that are inappropriate. We all want to punch someone in the face sometimes, but we hold back. We hold back because we know there are consequences to our actions. Toxic people do not care about the consequences to their actions because they attract people who forgive the consequences, okay? That is your toxic trait. This is me reflecting back to you. If you are in a toxic relationship with someone, chances are you do not have consequences to their actions, which means there are no consequences. So why would they care about hurting you? They don't, because you keep tolerating it. You keep pretending that you're not hurt. And so every time you accept a new level of disrespect, you're not helping them solve it. What you're doing is affirming all of the things that they're saying about you. So every single time that they disrespect you, and you keep forgiving it, it's a new level that they just ratchet it up to. Okay, got away with that one. What's next? Got away with that one. What's next? Got away with that one. What's next? And your level of tolerance keeps catching up because you're trying to just help them. And what you don't realize by your level of tolerance catching up is your self-esteem is going down. And you're becoming more attached to them because every single time that they disrespect you, chances are they give you just a little bit of love, right? And what happens is because the fights are so aggressive at this point, or because the disrespect was so intense at this point, that when they say they love you, or they didn't mean it, or it was just a mistake, or they just said it because they were mad, their sudden approval feels like a great relief, a great acceptance. Like, oh my God, this person just called me a stupid, idiot, asshole, worthless, nothing, piece of shit, and now they're saying they didn't mean it. I'm so relieved that I'm not getting called an idiot, stupid piece of shit. This like, okay, like I'm going to be okay. It's the equivalent to a child who's trying to gain the love, acceptance, and approval of their parents. And the parent has just yelled at them and scolded them and then tells them that they can come out of the corner. And the child runs up to them and hugs them and it says sorry and I love you so much because they need to earn the love of their parents. So what a toxic relationship does is it creates this unhealthy attachment that gets you addicted. It gets you addicted and addicted and addicted, making you feel like now you're not solving and helping with their pain. Now it feels like they're solving and helping you with your own pain because, of course, you're a stupid, idiot asshole whose work means nothing, who doesn't do anything for anybody. And they're the only ones who are going to love you like that. They're the only ones who sacrificed anything for you or whoever would. The tables have now turned, and you haven't helped anyone solve anything. What you've done is you've drowned yourself in the process. So this is a very intense thing to go through. And when you're going through it, it's so fucking painful. You start to lose everybody in your life, all the friends, all the family who once supported you, not even necessarily because that person told you to stop talking to them, but because your friends got so sick of hearing you complain and cry and talk about the same thing over and over and over again and not leave, that they couldn't watch you be a drug addict anymore and hurt yourself anymore and support it. Your friends actually did you a favor because what they did was they set some consequences. They said, I cannot watch you kill yourself. I cannot be here supporting you and enabling this relationship any longer. So you become completely alone and you isolate. And even if they don't abandon you, chances are you will abandon them because you will feel so ashamed to talk about it anymore, to tell anyone anymore. Chances are you probably stayed left 100 times. I love them, I hate them, I love them, I hate them, I love them, I hate them. And you're always going back and you feel so fucking bad about it and you don't want to talk to anyone anymore. And guess what happens? That person becomes the only person who's actually there for you. In this really, really fucked up way, when your friends abandon you or when you abandon your friends, inadvertently you just become more attached to that person because they're the only one left. They're the only one left. So then it's like, okay, I know I'm in this shit situation. I know I'm not getting treated my worth. Is it so bad? I don't know. Is it me? Is it them? They're telling me it's all my fault. I keep getting blamed, but I'm just trying to state my piece and they keep telling me I'm fighting with them. I'm never trying to start a fight. You have this internal battle, but you're like, I can't go anywhere because they love me. They're the only one who's been with me. They have unconditional love for me. And that's why it's really actually bad to believe in unconditional love, because love needs conditions. You can love someone from a distance, but to be in a relationship with someone should not be unconditional. A toxic person will use unconditional love against you to say, I stayed with you even though we've been through so much hard shit, even though you fucked up so many times. I know I've made mistakes, but like you fucked up too. Even though they like dogged you, made you feel so bad for so fucking long, they'll just use it against you. I stayed with you. No, they stayed because you fucking stayed and let them treat you like shit. Why else are they there? They're not loving you. I can't believe the audacity that some people have to treat someone so badly and say that they love them. And perhaps it's because that's the only love they know and identify with. But like I said, people who are toxic to themselves. And they don't know how to face themselves in the mirror. That's why it's very hard for them to take accountability. That's why it's very hard for them to take responsibility. They don't want to hear your side of the coin. They don't want to hear your side of the pain, because you stating your piece, you pointing out to them how they could have hurt you, shows them all of the work they have yet to do, and they don't want to do it. And they don't want to do it, and they especially don't want to do it with you, who has let them walk all over you for the last however many months, years, decades. So I've just gone off on this huge tangent about toxicity, toxic people in your lives, how you feel when you're in these toxic relationships, and we could talk about this all day. But let's talk about ways to get out. How the fuck do we get out of these toxic relationships? Because I just explained how they're similar to addictions. When you're addicted to, I've never been addicted to drugs, so hear me out. But if you're addicted to something, drugs, alcohol, porn, whatever, you have to think back to the reason you became addicted in the first place. We become addicted to things because we're looking for an outlet from our normal lives. We're looking for an escape. We're looking for a feel-good mechanism. And for some reason, porn or sex or drugs or alcohol, whatever it is, even if in the back of our mind we feel like it's bad, in that moment it's making us feel better than our life is in that moment. And then all an addiction is a habit. All an addiction is a habit. It becomes our comfort zone. It becomes a thing we get used to. It becomes a thing we do over and over and over again. So number one, I'm gonna go back to number one. Number one is you can't change it unless you want to change it. And sometimes you only want to change it when it hurts so fucking bad that you have no choice. And unfortunately, if this is our first time going through this, it's usually always has to happen that way. This is like, if you've gained a bunch of weight and you're like, it's only 5 pounds, it's only 10 pounds, it's only 30 pounds. And all of a sudden you're 130 pounds overweight. You're like, holy shit, I can't breathe. I can't sit in the airplane seat. I'm going to die. And only because I'm going to die now do I see this as an immediate need to change. And sometimes you need to be in these toxic relationships until you feel like you're going to die. And then you see it as an immediate need to change. But sometimes you'll convince yourself until that moment that everything's okay, that you can still change it, that it's not their fault, until you get there. So that's the precursor that I have. No one can change unless they actually want to. So number two, when you're thinking about it like an addiction, you can't just take an addiction away without replacing it with something. So when it comes to people, chances are the reason why you're stuck with someone in a toxic relationship is because you have no other forms of support or love. So in order to, start siphoning that person out, you have to bring other people in. You have to join support groups. You have to get a therapist. You have to get a coach. You have to have friends. You have to have hobbies. You have to have family members. It takes a team. It takes an army. And soon you will start to be so surrounded by all of this support, all of this love, all of these different energies and dynamics that the way that person treats you, just by contrast and comparison, feels crazy why you would ever stay. You need people who boost your self-esteem, who remind you who you are, who remind you how to be confident. Not people who constantly shit on that other person. People who just amplify your worth. Okay? Because the last thing that you usually want is someone who just keeps shitting on that other person. Usually you leave them. Right? So you need to start surrounding yourself with people who amplify you. Amplify your traits, who push you to grow, who are supportive of your growth. Okay? Then when that happens, generally you feel a lot more at ease by making an exit plan. And making an exit plan is best done with an expert who's taken these journeys before. So a therapist will help you build an exit plan if your relationship is toxic or abusive. A way to make you feel safe, a way to help you deal with financials, a way to help you when it comes to custody. I have a few clients who I've talked about these things with different lawyers and such. I know it can be really hard in the judicial system with men when it comes to custody and whatnot. But at the end of the day, you really have to protect yourself and make sure you're safe, because your kids are better off with you here in less time than without you here, because you just couldn't take it anymore, right? So we need to really assess ourselves and be safe with that. I don't know if I have a next step because the next step is like, easier said than done. A lot of people who I don't think have experienced these relationships, or maybe they have, they always say, oh, you have to learn how to love yourself. You have to learn how to love yourself first. And it's just, when I hear that, it just feels so demeaning, because it's like they assume that you don't love yourself, or that you think you're a piece of shit, or that you didn't have any self-worth or self-concept. I don't think anybody who actually doesn't love themselves gets into relationships like these. I think that people who don't love themselves become the toxic people that latch onto the people who have a lot going for them so that they can drain them also. By the end of these relationships, you don't feel like you have a lot of self-esteem. You don't feel like you have a lot of worth, because this shit wears you down again and again and again. Okay? But generally, people who get into these things, they don't see it coming. It's generally love bombing in the first part, where you feel very good, you feel very safe, you feel very cherished. And then it's like little by little, stuff's taken down, and your empathy is used against you. So when you start healing from this, or to prevent this from happening to you in the first place, I know somebody said that earlier, generally, if you come from a securely attached family, you're not going to get into any of this, because you're going to witness and notice the signs of someone toxic right away, or you want to track that in your life. But generally, if someone toxic has come into your life, it's because you needed some source of, first, extreme love, and then a wake-up call that the love that you needed didn't need to be external as much as you were relying on it to be. Because, like I said, the first thing that people usually do when they get in these relationships is the love bomb, and it feels so good, and you feel so honored and so special and so chosen, but usually on the same plane as all of the love you witness, all these little red flags, and you're just weaving in and out of them. You're like, no, because it's excuse me, they gave me so many compliments and told me how awesome I am, so that's a green flag. But then they're just coming out of a relationship, so that's a red flag, but I don't care about that one, because then they said they were gonna take me shopping and whatever. I'm just giving random examples, but they wanted a family with me, and then as you continue getting further, that's only when all of the green flags slowly start disappearing and the red flags just get bigger and bigger and bigger, and you're like, where did all the green flags go? Where did all the I love yous go? Where did this plan that we co-created together about the future and how many babies we wanted to have and how many things we were going to do together, where did that go? And suddenly, it's your fault that they're all gone. It's your fault, because all of a sudden you were the red flag. All of a sudden you were the red flag, and you were the person who fucking was manipulating them the whole time. When I say this is kind of laughable because it's so crazy, but I'm gonna say it again. When we are with a toxic person, by default, we become toxic. So they're not necessarily wrong, because by you staying in a relationship with a toxic person, trying to help them solve their trauma or trying to solve their trauma for them, you do by default become manipulative, because you are trying to manipulate them out of their toxicity. You can call it what you want. You can defend it to the grave that it's the right thing to do, that it's the better thing to do. However, manipulation is manipulation. And if you are taking away someone's sovereignty to heal, you are taking away their sovereignty. And that is the price that we pay. And that is what people say when they say no good deed goes unpunished. Because what we think is a good deed is actually us just betraying ourselves, betraying them, betraying what, is actually right versus what we think is right. And that is the most painful, hardest lesson to learn, is that what we thought we were doing to help was actually also a manipulation of them. And the most painful thing is like, damn, we could have avoided all of this by actually just getting what we wanted in the first place, which is avoiding this and partnering with someone who had already done the work. And that might sound selfish, but you need to be selfish. You need to be selfish when it comes to your mental health. You need to be selfish when it comes to your physical health. You need to be selfish when it comes to getting what you want. Life is so short. You are not put here to play God. You are not put here to be a healer. You are not, I mean, maybe you're put here to be a healer, but like, you're not Jesus, right? You're not just like, toxicity be gone. You know? You cannot solve someone's toxicity by just being the punching bag for their toxicity. By default, you become toxic. By default, you become a manipulator. It's not any better. Two sides to the same coin. So everything that they're avoiding, everything they're trying to throw back at you, take a look, take a listen. What are they showing me? What am I actually doing to them that they're actually telling me the truth about? Like, damn, maybe I did manipulate them. Maybe I did manipulate them in a relationship because I thought I could heal their ass. And they didn't want that. They didn't want that. They wanted to be who they were. And you couldn't love them for who they were. This is what we have to accept about ourselves. When you accept these things about yourself, the relationship disappears. Because we are only stuck in toxic cycles or in any type of cycle until we learn the lesson. This is the thing I always tell myself when I'm in a rut. This is the thing I always tell my clients, is that there's a reason you can't leave something. Because most of us are smart, or at least have common sense. You know when something's bad. You know when something's difficult. You know when to leave a relationship. You know when to leave a job. And at points you've been like, okay, put in my 2 weeks, whatever, done. But if there's a reason why you keep staying and staying and staying and staying, and you can't commit to leaving, but you know you need to leave, the lesson has not been yet fulfilled. And the lesson has not yet been fulfilled because you keep seeing them as the villain instead of them as the mirror. Once you start seeing them as the mirror instead of the villain, and you learn the lesson of like, holy shit, why am I here? Then you'll be released, because if you are released any sooner than that, you're only destined to get in a relationship with someone who is the exact same in a different package. And then you keep blaming all of the people on the outside. All women are the same. All men are the same. Why are there no good women left? Why are there no good men left? There are good men and women left. You just didn't stay in that toxic relationship long enough to realize what was wrong with you. Because you kept denying and resisting that anything was your fault. So on top of them not taking accountability, you're also not taking accountability. That's why they're the mirror. That's why they're the mirror. So don't shame yourself for how long you're going to stay in these things. The sooner that you just accept, holy shit, I'm in this environment. It's toxic. This means I'm somewhat toxic. This means I've got a lot of lessons to learn and I haven't been able to leave yet because I haven't learned the lesson. And you just accept that and you start reflecting instead of blaming. And instead of trying to change them, like, stop trying to change them. Just accept them for the reality as it is. They've already told you who they are. You don't need to keep proving it by asking them to change, and seeing them like steamroller you again and again and again by them not changing and them getting pissed off at you. That's your manipulation coming in. Stop trying to change them. Instead, start reflecting. The second that you do that, an epiphany is going to come to you. A peace will come to you where you're like, oh my God, this is the reality. And I don't need to do XYZ anymore. I don't need to accept this behavior anymore. And I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm only going to accept XYZ treatment. And suddenly, that love no longer becomes the love that you're trying to earn or validate yourself with anymore. That love becomes something like on the side. And all you can do is just pray for peace for that person. Because you're not accepting that anymore. You're letting go of that old you. You're letting go of that other person. I'll tell you what snapped me out of this cycle, at least semi, was when they themselves were like, where did all this insecurity come from? You used to be so confident. You used to not give a shit. And in my mind, I was like, duh. If they're literally telling me this, and in my mind I was like, it's you. It's because of you. You fucking destroyed me. But in my mind, I was like, holy shit, if they're telling me this is so fucking sad. That they're recognizing that I don't belong here, and I'm still fucking here? That they don't even appreciate the fact that I'm here putting up with this shit? I can't, no. And damn, I did used to be confident, so fuck this shit. You made me realize who the fuck I am. And all of a sudden today, lo and behold, I get this download to do this live stream, which I haven't had energy for almost 2.5 months. So, the second that you let go and stop trying to control things, stop trying to play God, the second that you let go, you create space in your life for what you've actually been asking for. But you cannot get something new when you continue to hold on to something old. And there's this meme, it's not really a meme because it's not funny, but it's like this little girl's crying, she's holding a teddy bear, and Jesus is in front of her, and he's got a big giant bear behind his back, and he's trying to take the bear from her, and he's saying, just trust me. And she doesn't want to give it up. But sometimes you got to give up something you think is good so that you can get something great. And you have to trust the universe. You have to trust God, if you believe in God, that if something is really causing you distress in your life, that cannot be the thing that's meant for your life. You think that that's all you're meant for? You think that that's the best you're going to get? That's really the best love you're going to get? Talk to people who try to tell you anything, right? This person said, no one will ever sacrifice for you what I did. No one will ever love you. You give 150% give of the greatest love you could have ever had in your life. And I'm like, in what way? Is this the greatest love I could have ever had in my life? The love of my life is not calling me a selfish asshole piece of shit. Like, that's not how it works. So you have to trust that whatever addiction you have, whatever attachment you have to something that you prayed for once, because I prayed for this relationship, you have to trust that the way that it's working out is the way that it's meant to work out. And that if you're being forced to give something up, literally because it's destroying you, your mental health, your physical health, everything like that something better is coming in its place. And the more in tune with trust you become, of like, I don't have to control or manipulate the universe into like, I don't have to bully the universe. Oh God, give me what I want, please. You know, like you're begging for something. You don't even know what you're begging for anymore because you don't know what your greatest blessing can be. You don't even know the potential that you have for greatness. And you're begging for something that's so below your standards, so below your worth. And God is like looking at you like, are you fucking kidding me? I guess you need to stay in this relationship. You prayed to me to make it work. What you don't realize is you're praying to God to make your relationship work. And it's working. All the abuse that you have, all the toxicity that you have, that is how that relationship works. You're praying for it to change, to be this relationship that it's not. God is giving you a dose of reality. The universe is giving you a dose of reality. You're praying for it to work. That's how it's working. So instead of praying for something to work, instead of praying for something specific like I need this person or this relationship, start praying for the lessons that you need to become the person who attracts your highest desire, your highest potential. And you may not like the way that those lessons manifest, but at the end of every lesson, there's always a reward. Because here's the thing, you pray for peace, God never gives you peace, right? He gives you all these situations like standing in line at the grocery store and someone's counting their pennies. You're like, fuck, dude, I don't have patience for this. But you develop it over time because you become more tolerant, right? So if you're praying for unconditional love, if you're praying for an easy relationship, if you're praying for respect, you're going to be faced with the opposite so that your tolerance can be leveled, right? The reason why you become tolerant in toxic relationships isn't so that you can become tolerant of abuse. It's so that you can understand completely how you do not want to be treated in the future, and so that you can embody the exact opposite, everything that you want, everything that you deserve. You have become tolerant so you can develop a shield. Okay? So there's a lot that I just said there. Wow, what a morning. It's morning for you guys. It's nighttime for me. We could go on about this all day. But I'm going to look at some of these comments that you guys have. Create space in your life. Good advice. Not believing in God is to give up hope. I mean, some people don't believe in God. Some people don't believe in anything, and that's okay. You got to do what you got to do with your life. But I choose to believe, at least in the universe, and that everything has a divine calculation that I may not understand. Because to assume that I understand everything about the universe, I think would be a little presumptuous. On the other hand, if you think that you are a piece of the universe, then you do understand everything about the universe, which at that point, you have all the answers anyway. But anyway, please tell me what is wrong with me that I have been in so many of these relationships. Well, like I said, if you continue to be in toxic relationships, you're not doing the self-reflective work that you need to in order to avoid them. You continue to see that person as the villain or that gender as the villain. And the more you see that gender as the villain, instead of self-reflecting, what part of me is actually attracting this by default, like being a toxic person, you're going to attract toxic people because like only attracts like. And the more you think about toxic people and think about red flags, and that's what's also toxic about our social media, is there's so many red flag warning signs and narcissistic abuse warning signs and trauma warning signs, is that you're actually programming your subconscious mind to attract these people and look for these things. I want you to focus on the healthy aspects of relationships, the beautiful aspect of relationships that you want, that you need and love. Start writing affirmations down. This is another thing that I started doing. I said, no matter how shitty I feel about myself or about my relationship, I am going to write into existence until I literally die or pass away from this. All these good things about myself, all these good things about the future, all these good things about my spouse. I don't have a spouse, but you know what I mean? Like, you need to live in that reality that the good things you want and need exist, because they do exist. They exist for someone else, so why can't they exist for you? There are many people who do not attract toxic relationships over and over and over again. There are many people who attract healthy relationships over and over again. Because in their mind, they think, okay, how much better can it get? Show me how much better can it get? And in your mind, all you think is, fuck, how much worse can it get? Can't get any worse than this. And then you know what happens? It rains.